I never wasted time before and after work. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I was able to achieve a higher performing lifestyle, which also allowed me to leave my 9-to-5 job and go full-time into business. So before we get into the bulk of the video, grab yourself a pen and paper, get a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, whatever takes your fancy, make some active notes, and after this video, go and implement what you learn. Okay, that's the key. Like, take something from this video and then go and do it. But before we get into my productivity hacks, my personal tips and tricks and things that I do and what I did in my 9-to-5 job before and after to become super productive and efficient with my time, we need to start with the reason why. Now, we all need that reason why, and it's going to be so different for every single one of us. So to become more effective with our time, we need something that is deeply rooted and that will push us to do that. For me, at 20 years old, my why was I had a brand new baby come into my life, my son, and I had that wake up moment, you know, true perspective of, oh my God, I have someone I need to take care of. I didn't do well in school. I didn't go to college. I didn't go to uni. I haven't got any rich parents. Nothing's been given to me, but I do know that I want massive change and I want to be able to provide my family with a better life and more than what I had when I was growing up. And I love my parents to bits, but you know, they struggled with money at times and we didn't have a lot. So I really wanted to make a change, but I was starting from ground zero. So the only thing I can offer is my time, effort and energy. And for me, I've always been very entrepreneurial and I've been hyper aware of this unfair exchange of time of giving 40 hours every week, which is what I was doing, to an employer building their dreams, and I knew that needed to stop. So the solution for me to get out of that situation and provide this new and better life for my family was I had to learn about business and then start a business to be able to eventually leave to go on to have time freedom. But I knew I was going to have to go through loads of pain, make lots of sacrifices and be super disciplined in order to do that, and for potentially many years. And even thinking back then, I didn't think it was going to take me as long as what it did, but honestly, things take years, not months, to become successful in your own definition. The other part after having a reason why is you need a consequence. Now, I find the psychology of humans really interesting, and there's a great book I'll recommend you by Dr. Nick Hall, PhD. I know what to do, so why don't I do it? So for you to become more effective with time and to change your life, whether that be like me, you wanted to get out of a 9-to-5 to run your own business, you know, have more freedom and financial stability and independence. Maybe you want to become healthier, change physically, mentally, or change your relationships, I don't know, whatever. Whatever your reason why to become more effective with the time that you're wasting, you also need a consequence on the back end. Because if you don't fear something not coming to life, you never really do it. Most people act when their backs are against the wall and then they go into fight or flight mode. So you need something to really scare you enough to go ahead and actually be successful in the thing that you want to do. And it's like overweight people. They only change and go on a diet and start exercising when they've gone to the doctor and the doctor has said cholesterol's through the roof, blood pressure is insane, your heels are screaming, you're crushing your Havaiana flip-flops into the ground, your heels are crusty, you're massively overweight, you've got about 4 months left to live. And then they scratch their head going, oh my God, I need to pull my finger out because I've got 2 little children and I'm not even going to see them grow up. We should be living in a state of prevention, not regret and thinking, oh my God, I wish I could go back in time. And we're going to get into a little bit about this further down. But basically swapping bad habits for good habits ASAP is going to do you a lot of good. So let me talk you through my sort of average kind of working day and what I did to become effective when I was still working in a 9-to-5. So for context, I did a 4-on, 3-off shift. I worked from 1 p.m. to midnight and I had about a 40-minute commute to and from work. So I have to say, I've never really been into TV and watching movies. I occasionally watch Netflix in the evening now, watching Yellowstone at the moment, and I've just finished watching Reacher in the evenings. But I only do it when I've completed all my tasks and I've got my work done. I never dither about or procrastinate, and naturally I've just been very good at that. So a lot of the things I'm going to talk to you today and go through some of the hacks, I haven't really had to make hard changes because they're all very easy for me. Again, being successful is actually super simplistic. Again, whatever you're trying to do, it's just hard for people to do it consistently, daily, and with discipline and making sacrifices along the way, and also not having any guarantees that it's ever going to work out. Because people nowadays, they want guarantees, and there just aren't in life. But taking no risks in life is the biggest risk of all. So I was working my full-time job. I've always been an early bird, so I'd wake up about 5:30 every day. I've never been that type of person to sleep 8-10 hours. I don't know how people sleep 8-10 hours, and we're going to get onto that as one of my hacks later on. And I'm sure we're going to have some back and forth with people who are going to slate me for saying sleep less. I would wake up at about 5:30. I'd go to the gym. I'd listen to Audible on the way to gym because I just loved going through that self-education phase. I was learning about business, entrepreneurship, money management. I was trying to become an all-round 360 better individual. I've been lucky really because I came from a family that didn't have any money. So I've always enjoyed learning how to manage money and be smarter with it. So I love listening to finance books. And I recommend a great book by a very close friend of mine, Andrew Craig, and it's called How to Own the World. And again, that will pop up. So I'd go to the gym, I'd work out physically on myself because then you're releasing the endorphins, you're getting a good dopamine hit. And then on the treadmill, I'd be watching YouTube videos on how to start a business, marketing, sales, just really on rotation of the things that I wanted to learn and immerse myself in, and leverage of time, being on the treadmill, doing cardio whilst learning. So swap the music for an Audible book or a podcast. I'd then come home, spend some time with the family, and then I'd open up my personal laptop and I'd start working on business things. I tried an eBay business, I had a wedding catering business, I went into property until I found my finance business. I was always building on my network, and I would work for about 4 or 5 hours before I started my 10-hour shift. I then get to work, again, listening to Audible on the way to work. I'd get there, I'd set up, I'd do everything that I could, and then when people weren't looking, I'd still try and sort of plug in my AirPods, listen to a book, carry on evolving and working on myself. Even in the canteen breaks that I had, I would take my personal laptop and again, I'd be like sending emails, outbounding, building my network, setting up systems, trying to do my own VSOPs and stuff like this, processes, and more towards the finance thing that I was doing at the time. Really just trying to build up cash flow and manage my money to get out of my 9 to 5 as soon as I could. I'd then go home, again, listening to an Audible book. You know, it'd be like midnight, half midnight, something like that. And then I'd kind of decompress for about 15 minutes, maybe have some food. And then I'd open up my laptop and I'd work again for another 1-2 hours. But I really wanted this. I wanted to get out my job ASAP. So I didn't want to sit down. Again, I've never really been into just watching TV. I've just not been that type of person. And although I'm not, you know, I'm a very confident, outgoing person, I have learned to become more introverted and work on myself a lot more, and I've done that over the last 10 years and it's really paid off just to focus on me. So I was never getting caught up in the politics and gossip and just meeting people for coffees and stuff like that. I've never really been into it. The other thing is as well, I did this every single day. So it took me just over between about 6 and 7 years to actually leave my job. I could have left earlier, but that was the time frame in which I left. I did all of this every single day, and we're going to get onto my sleeping pattern, which I'll share with you. So look, let's go through some productivity hacks, the tips and the tricks and the do's and the don'ts and the things that you need to swap. So number 1, sleep less. Yes, I've said it and there'll be people that will disagree with me, but if you are healthy enough and young enough as well, if you're doing this from an early age, you can sleep less for many years in order to get out of a position that you don't want to be in. So for me, I realized that I was still spending time with family, so I wasn't prepared to give up spending time with family. So I was working every day on myself, and the weekends and bank holidays. Any time that I could, I was always developing, educating and building on myself and working towards business. But I still spent time with family. I never gave that up, but it did mean that I had to sleep less. Now that's the backbreaker for a lot of people, because too many of you are comfortable with sleeping 8-10 hours. I was sleeping on average 4 to 5.5 hours a night. I got used to that. My old man can literally sleep for like 2-3 hours. He power naps and then he'll go again. Absolute beast. And I think I'm very much the same. So yes, you've got to kind of find your pattern and what works for you, but I can work on less sleep. I've always looked after my diet, which is something we're going to talk about. So I've taken vitamins, always taken my magnesium. So again, I've been able to perform at a higher level because I've prioritized my health. But yes, for about 7 years, Well, to be honest with you, even today, I only really sleep about 5.5, 6 hours max now. But for many years, I only slept between that 4 and 5.5 hours because I wanted this so badly. My reason why was so big and my consequence was so scary of looking back with regret and bitter and knowing that I am a fully able human being that can push myself harder physically, mentally. I can educate myself as much as I want. The sky is the limit and we're in a world of opportunity. Why would I want to get to my deathbed and look back and think, you left so much on the table and you didn't unturn every stone? Or you left so many stones unturned. Why did you not go harder? Why did you not lift heavier in the gym? Why did you not run an extra 10 minutes? Why did you run instead of sprinting? And that's the kind of person that I am. I really am quite hard on myself, but it's allowed me to continue moving the progression needle. Now, number 2, stop watching TV. Honestly, people waste so much time sitting down, they go to work, they stimulate themselves on caffeine, they have a bad diet, they get home, slump on the sofa and watch 4 or 5 hours of TV. And those are the individuals, ironically, who claim that they don't have time to change their lives. We all have time to change our lives. It's just a case of whether you prioritize it or not. It's that simple. Number 3, stop doom scrolling. This is a scary one. I only create, I don't consume unless it's educational content. I've said this in other videos. The average doom scroller is 3 hours a day on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, whatever you consume, 3 hours a day, every single day. That's 7 days a week. You know, people don't take days off on the weekends to stop doom scrolling. That's 1,095 hours over the year on average. But people are doom scrolling up to 7 hours a day. That's 45 days and 12 hours. 45 days and 12 hours a year you're losing due to doom scrolling. Over a month could have been spent building the better and best version of you. And you know, there are people in denial who will say, no, I don't do that. And you know you do that. You go to bed, 10 p.m, you start scrolling. Next thing you know, it's 1 p.m. in the morning. Better go to sleep. You wake up, you go have your breakfast, your cup of coffee, you get ready for work. And guess what? On the train, during the car journey, some of you are watching short form content. Only consume if you're educating yourself. Number 4, stop listening to music and just swap it all for podcasts and Audible. I'll share my library, it will pop up next to me. I'll just scroll through some of the books that I've listened to. I love Audible. It's like one-to-one mentoring. It doesn't always have to be an education book. It can be a biography. It can be whatever, entertainment, a story of some sort. Get your head in the space of listening and learning opposed to just pounding your head with music and wasting that time. Imagine if you just did an hour of Audible every day and just did 7 hours of Audible every week. You'll complete 1 book on average every single week. You'll become a much more intelligent individual by the end of the year. I promise you, just swap the music for an Audible or a podcast. Now, number 5, stop going out on Fridays and Saturdays, clubbing and pubbing and doing all this stuff, and try going to a networking event. Your network is your net worth. Networking literally changed my life. It is who you know, not what you know. So become more efficient in actually spending time meeting people that could change yours and your family's life. Again, in whatever aspect you're trying to change your life. Maybe you go to a fitness event, you know, an exhibition, or you go to a marketing or a sales or an investors event. I don't know, whatever you're trying to do. But networking, I freaking love it. And that's why we started an events company, which is awesome in London. And we run some of the best networking, entrepreneurial business events in the UK. And we're very proud of that. So come to one of our events in London if you ever are in London. It will blow your mind. But network as much as you can, and I promise you, all these new doors and opportunities will open up. Swap the pubbing and clubbing and go networking. Number 6, work out every day, eat and drink clean. Your body, your family, your friends, your peers, everyone will thank you. You become confident, your self-esteem, you'll perform better, you have good endorphins being released and a good dopamine hit. Working out makes you a high performer. Your habits will be far better if you're the individual that works out. You know, rather than going out the weekend, swap it for going and doing a gym session. Honestly, I give everything to the gym. Everything for me is downstream from my fitness. I take it so seriously that everything else in my life is far more peaceful. It protects my peace and I'm just much more content because I know that I'm looking after my body, I'm aiming for longevity, and I'm able to perform during hours where people either want to fall asleep or they don't want to get out of bed. Honestly, it's one of my top tips. Number 7 is food prep. This is an important part. I'm very lucky now because of my personal brand. I'm not lucky, I'm blessed. I've worked for it. But you know, I've been sponsored sponsored by Thrive for over a year, so I get a big box, which is all prep food, but I still actually prep my food. I've got prepped food in the fridge today. I'm very simplistic when it comes to food. Mincemeat, rice, broccoli, make up a big load of portions of that, stick it in the freezer, because I don't want to spend time thinking every day, what should I have for food? It wastes my time. It's like why having a gardener, just using it as an example, is that having a gardener for me just saves me 4 hours doing the front and the back. The gardener can just do it. It's worth the price, but therefore I haven't got to think about when I've next got to do the garden. And by the way, I wasn't always in a position where I could have a gardener, and my garden's actually not that expensive. Now, number 8, forget about what day it is. This one's a key one for momentum. Okay, you might not have heard this one before. I don't actually consider Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday as days anymore. It's just another day of opportunity. The reason why this is so important, again, the psychology of humans, we buy into the whole feeling and emotions of what day it is. Monday, I'm tired. Tuesday, bit boring. Wednesday, midweek, not bad. Thursday, only one more day, and then we've got Friday. Woo! Friday's done and dusted. Saturday and Sunday, party time. Down tools, let our hair down. Go spend our money that we've been working on throughout the week. The money that we've been earning, we're just gonna go and now spend it all, because that's what everyone else is doing. That's what society has told us. So momentum starts really slow on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then everyone's nurturing that hangover, and then momentum dips off. When you're trying to make a real big impact in your life and trying to utilize time, momentum's really key. And it's like, it will dip, but you always want it going up. You want it to be like gold. Yeah, it'll have some corrections and fluctuations and dips and that, but it constantly goes up. Momentum is key to making progress in your life in any area. Going to the gym, you can't just disappear for 6 months and expect to see gains. You can't post on social media once, go away for a month, and then wonder why the algorithm's not in your favor. Momentum's key. And if you remove what day it is, every day is a day of opportunity. Therefore, your emotional state isn't in play. You're not buying into the whole, it's Friday. I can chill out now. No. If you're trying to get from a point A to a better point B, Saturday could still be a working day for you, just like it was for me. For those of you that don't want to work during the week, why are you not working the weekends? If you're trying to escape the 9 to 5, let's remind you, 168 hours in a working week, based on an average of 8 hours, 40 hours you work, 40 hours you sleep, you're left with 88 hours. What are you doing with your 88 hours? So, again, you've really got to be honest with yourself. That's what all of this is about. Number 9, pre-plan your days every evening. So I'll share with you what I do. I've just done like a draft, but this is what I do every single evening, and I get all of my what's called tier 1 members to do this. Very simply, and my editor will just sort of pan in there. Very simply, I just break down priorities to secondaries, my social tasks and my notes, and what date it is. I literally operate my entire life off an A4 notepad, and then I go and get a new one. I don't use Notion, I don't use any fancy software. I use notes in my phone for when I have an idea, I pop it in my notes, but then literally A4 paper, priorities, secondaries, socials, and notes, what day it is, and then I hold myself accountable to that. And as you saw, I also have time blocks, which now brings me on to the most important part of all of this, and this is my best productivity hack, is number 10, is time blocking. Time is the most precious asset that we have. So we do need to be honest, we do need to be accountable. It's great making a to-do list, but you need time frames and you need to shorten them. If you're having a meeting on Zoom, don't make it an hour, make it 15 minutes. Say what you need to. I work with some pretty successful people. You should see some of their emails. 1, 2, 3 words. They don't waste time. Reply, answer. And that's the thing. You want to get to the stage where you don't waste time. I don't meet up with people just randomly to have a coffee and just talk about the news and what they've been up to with their family. I just don't. Not because I'm rude. I really have come to understand the value of time is so precious. Again, let me give you an image. Do you remember that film In Time, like Justin Timberlake? Imagine if you had a clock on your wrist, and ironically I have, I have a clock. I'm right twice a day, 7 p.m. But imagine if you had that digital clock ticking down on your wrist every day. Would you be happy to sit there at work for 10 hours moping about, looking at your timer until you check out and visit Jesus at your wrist every day and just looking at it thinking, what am I doing? Would you be happy to go somewhere and just sort of dither about and look at your timer ticking down and listening to someone moan about their life? And when you start thinking like this, and then you go back to your reason why, Again, I use my example. I'm not happy to waste time and never have been, and I want to leverage as much as I can and multitask because I want to spend as much time with my family, make memories, explore, have adventures, go on holiday whenever I want to. So I have to value the one commodity that I will never get back. I can't save it, I can't buy it, and I can't invest it. I can only spend time. So treasure it and be careful where it goes. So look, we've come to the end of the video. If you are someone who is actively trying to get out of the 9 to 5, that's what I endorse. I am an entrepreneur at heart. I do love business, and we're not in the 80s and 90s where business is risky. 90% of businesses do not fail in the first 2 years. Those are old numbers, old statistics that baby boomers and haters will try and scare you off. It's very achievable to get out of your job and replace your salary. And I'll include my full course tutorials at the end of this video. One will pop up now, which is quit your job and build an online business. It's changed people's lives, and I believe to date around 18 people have left their job to go full-time into business from that one video. The second video is what business models will replace your 9 to 5 job, and that will break down how many sales, what you need to do, the funnel, everything about business models that thrive and survive. That tutorial will guide you through that, how you can actually replace a salary between £2,000 to £3,000 a month by a simple setup online. I'm wishing every single one of you the best. I really am. I'm rooting for all of you. Again, just don't waste the time before work or after or at the weekends. If you did like this video, let me know what you liked about it or maybe resonated. If you want, subscribe and support the channel. And until next time, I'll see you all very soon. Peace.